Welcome to our very first theme episode of Ask a Mortician. Now, there are lots of potentially awesome deathy themes to choose from, but I choose... So we find ourselves here at episode 6, or The House That Decomposition Built. I was going to ask my mother to be my special guest co-host for this episode because she's usually so supportive of my career. For example, here she is paying a diplomatic visit to the crematory. But she's always like, "Sweetie, I don't understand your interest in decomposition and decay. I think it's a little bizarre, don't you?" So, Mom, I decided to invite someone who truly understands the power of decomposition.
Hello.
Norton here is a vulture. Vultures are scavenger birds, which means they eat putrid, decomposing animal carcasses that other animals leave behind, kind of like nature's garbage crew. Zombie in a Jar asks, how long could a zombie apocalypse last with the zombies decomposing at a normal rate? Here's the thing about zombies. I don't care for them. They are cultural propaganda, telling us that corpses are scary, and we already have enough of a pathological fear relationship with dead bodies in the Western world that we don't need them cast in an unflattering, vengeful light. So there, entertainment. But I chose this question because I think what you're really asking is about the process of decomposition and how long it takes. Here we have poor dead Caitlin. Her body is cooled and taken on a pale ashen complexion, although you can't really tell because I always look like that. She may be dead, but inside her corpse there are trillions of living microscopic organisms chomping away at the body's tissues. Those little organisms are producing gas, which causes greenish bloat, putrefaction. Tissues begin to liquefy and the skin blackens. Since she's outside in the leaves, bugs are coming from the soil too, and maggots. Oh, how there shall be maggots. They've hatched and are now eating the decomposing flesh. Just like you, Norton. It's been about 10 to 15 days. From here, we dry out until really only the beetles can chew through the dried skin, and only bone and hair remain of poor Caitlin. All sorts of things can affect that rate of decomposition, like humidity and soil and bugs and environment and temperature and everything, but generally that's your standard issue rate of decomposition. Mist Dragon asks, how bad does a dead body smell, really? What does it smell like? A dead body doesn't smell at all for the first couple of days, or even after that if it's under refrigeration. It's only after decomposition is allowed to set in that she starts to turn. A decomposing body smells like a lot of lovely things, like citrus fruits and licorice and sweet wine and fish. But now imagine that you take all of those lovely things and you put them in a bucket, and you take that bucket and you put it out in the blazing sun for a few days, and everything melts together. That super sickeningly sweet melange of different smells is what a decomposing body smells like. And once you've smelled it, you will never forget it. Of course, we're biologically wired to find the smell of a decomposing body disgusting because unlike dear Norton, the scavenging vulture, human beings are not made to eat rotting meat and it can make us really sick, so the smell helps us keep away. Jess from Georgia asks, were dead bodies always so gross and scary for people in the Western world? Absolutely not, Jess. I'm so glad you asked. In the Middle Ages, people started to want to be buried ad sanctus, or next to at the saints, because saints and relics were thought to confer special powers in the afterlife if you were buried near them. Saints were buried in the church, which means the church or its surrounding cemetery became the hottest place in town to get a burial spot. You had bodies buried under the stones in the floor, bodies in the walls, bodies up in the eaves, bodies in the roof, not to mention all of the bodies piled up outside in the cemetery. Not only that, but the church and the cemetery were the center of social life in the town. So here you are surrounded by these decomposing bodies and bones and all of these reminders of your own mortality. But it's also the place that you go to pray, and you go to public forums, and you go to eat and drink and be merry. And so it doesn't really mean that they weren't afraid of death, but it does mean that they weren't afraid of dead bodies. They just couldn't be because they were everywhere. So as a sort of peace offering to the Ask Mortician viewers who are also zombie fans, I give you Reanimated Caitlin. Websites.